The planet Vera 7 was not a beautiful world. It had brown dirt, thin forests, and skies that always looked like old milk. But for the humans who lived there, it was home. They had built a small colony near the southern plains. About 200 people lived there. They grew food. They raised animals. They lived quiet lives far from Earth. Tay was one of these settlers. He was a tall man with rough hands and gray hair at his temples. He was 43 years old. Most people in the colony knew him as a simple engineer. He fixed machines. He repaired water systems. He helped build new homes when families needed them. He was quiet and kind, and he never talked about his past. But Tay had not always been an engineer. Before coming to Vera 7, before his wife died, before everything changed, he had been a soldier. Not just any soldier. He had been part of Earth's special forces during the Unification Wars. He had done terrible things in those days. Things he wanted to forget. When his wife passed away from sickness 3 years ago, he promised himself he would never fight again. He would raise his daughter in peace. His daughter was named Hannah. She was 8 years old. She had her mother's round face and her father's stubborn eyes. Hannah was a happy child. She loved to run through the fields. She loved to read stories about Earth animals. And she loved her pet more than anything in the world. The pet was a honey badger named Goma. Now, Goma was not a normal honey badger. Before leaving Earth, Tay had bought him from a special facility. Goma was genetically enhanced. His bones were stronger than steel. His claws could cut through metal. His teeth could crush stone. And his brain was smarter than any normal animal. He understood human words. He followed commands. But more than that, he loved Hannah like she was his own family. Goma was small. He weighed only about 14 kilograms. His fur was black and white, and his eyes were dark and always watching. Most people in the colony thought he was cute. They would laugh when he walked beside Hannah like a bodyguard. They did not understand what lived inside that small body. They did not know that Goma was built for war. The colony existed under the protection of something called the Galactic Concord. This was an alliance of many alien species. They kept peace between worlds. They made sure strong species did not bully weak ones. Humans were new to the galaxy. They had only discovered faster-than-light travel 60 years ago. To most aliens, humans were like children, primitive, emotional, not worth much attention. This was fine with Tay. He did not want attention. He wanted to grow vegetables and watch his daughter laugh and forget the blood on his hands from years ago. But trouble was coming. One evening, a ship appeared in the sky above the colony. It was long and black, shaped like a knife. The colonists gathered to watch it land. They had never seen a ship like this before. It did not belong to any species they knew. Su, the colony's young doctor, stood beside Tay as the ship's door opened. She was 29 years old, with sharp eyes and a worried face. She always worried. It was her nature. "I do not like this," she whispered to Tay. "Neither do I," he replied. The aliens that walked out of the ship were tall and thin. They had 6 limbs. Their skin looked like the shell of an insect. Their heads were long, with large black eyes and mouths that clicked when they spoke. They moved in a strange way, like spiders walking on 2 legs. These were the Velith. Tay had heard of them. The Velith Dominion was a powerful empire on the far side of the galaxy. They were scientists, collectors. They believed they were the smartest species in existence. They looked at other creatures the way humans looked at insects. The leader of the Velith group stepped forward. His name was Crix. He was taller than the others, and his shell was darker. When he spoke, a small device on his chest translated his clicking sounds into human words. "We come in peace," Crix said. His voice sounded flat and cold. "We are travelers. We wish to study your world." The colony's mayor, an old man named Bong, welcomed them carefully. He offered them food and water. He showed them the farms. The Velith looked at everything with their big black eyes, but showed no emotion. That night, Sue came to Tay's home. Hana was already sleeping, and Goma lay at the foot of her bed, his eyes half closed. "I have heard rumors," Sue said quietly. She sat at Tay's small kitchen table. "About the Velith. What kind of rumors?" "They take children," Sue said. Her voice was barely a whisper. "From colonies like ours. Human children. They say the Velith find human biology interesting. They take children to study them." Tay felt something cold move through his chest. He looked toward Hana's room. "The Concord protects us." "The Concord is far away," Sue replied. "And the Velith are clever. They take children from worlds where no one is watching. By the time anyone finds out, the children are gone." Tay was silent for a long moment. He did not want to believe it. He had come to this world to escape violence. He had promised himself he would never kill again. But as he looked at his daughter's door, he knew the truth. If anyone tried to take Hannah, he would break that promise. He would break it gladly. "Thank you for telling me," he said to Sue. "I will be careful." After Sue left, Tay walked to Hannah's room. She was sleeping peacefully. Her small chest rose and fell. Goma opened one eye and looked at Tay, then closed it again. "Watch her," Tay whispered to the honey badger. "Do not let anything touch her." Goma made a small sound. It was not quite a growl. It was more like a promise. That night, Hana woke up screaming. Tay ran to her room and found her sitting up in bed, her eyes wide with fear. Goma was standing on the bed, his fur raised, growling at the window. "What happened?" Tay asked, holding his daughter. "I saw shadows," Hana whispered. "Outside the window. Shadows that clicked." Tay looked at the window. There was nothing there. Just darkness and the pale light of the colony's moons. But Goma kept growling. His enhanced eyes could see things human eyes could not. His enhanced ears could hear things no human could hear. Something had been there. Something had been watching. Tay held his daughter close and stared at the darkness outside. The cold feeling in his chest grew stronger. He had spent years trying to bury the soldier inside him. He had tried so hard to become a peaceful man. But as he listened to Goma's growl, he knew the truth. The soldier was waking up. 3 days passed after Hana saw the shadows. The Velith ship remained near the colony. Crix and his scientists walked through the settlement every day. They watched everything. They studied the crops. They observed the animals. And most of all, they watched the children. Tay noticed how their black eyes followed Hana. Whenever she played with other children, at least one Velith was nearby. They never spoke to her. They just watched. Like scientists observing an experiment, he wanted to confront them. He wanted to grab Crix by his thin neck and demand answers. But he held himself back. He had no proof. And if he acted without proof, the Concord might punish the colony instead of the Velith. So Tay waited. He watched him watching his daughter. And every night, Goma slept at Hana's feet, never fully closing his eyes. On the 4th night, the colony held its harvest festival. It happened every year. The settlers gathered in the main square to celebrate their crops. There was music and food and dancing. Children ran between the adults, laughing and playing. Tay did not want to go. He wanted to stay home with Hana, but she begged him with her big eyes, and he could never say no to those eyes. "Please, father," she said. "Everyone will be there, and Goma will protect me." Tay looked at the honey badger. Goma sat beside Hana, his dark eyes steady and calm. He was always calm before violence. Tay had learned that about him. "Fine," Tay said. "But you stay close to me. You do not wander off. Understand? I understand, Hana promised. They went to the festival. The square was full of people. Lights hung from poles. Music played from old speakers. The smell of cooked food filled the air. For a moment, Tay felt almost happy. Almost safe. He should have known better. The Velith came to the festival too. They stood at the edge of the crowd, watching. Always watching. Crix was there, his dark shell shining under the lights. He looked at Tay, and Tay felt like the alien could see right through him. Hana tugged at her father's hand. Father, I need to find Goma. He ran away. Tay looked down. The honey badger was gone. He had been right beside them a moment ago. He probably smelled food somewhere, Tay said. We will find him. Come. They searched the edge of the festival. Tay called Goma's name, but the honey badger did not appear. This was strange. Goma always came when Tay called. He was too smart to wander off without reason, unless something had made him wander off. Father, I see him, Hana said suddenly. She pointed toward the dark fields beyond the festival lights. He is over there. Tay squinted. He could barely see anything in the darkness, but Hana's young eyes were sharper. Wait here, Tay said. I will get him. No, I will go, Hana said. She was already running before Tay could stop her. Goma, come here. Hana, stop. Tay shouted, but she was fast. She disappeared into the darkness between the lights and the fields. Tay ran after her, his heart beating hard. Something was wrong. He could feel it in his bones. He heard Hana scream. The sound cut through the festival music like a knife. Tay ran faster than he had run in years. He crashed through the tall grass at the edge of the fields. His eyes adjusted to the darkness. And then he saw them, 3 Velith. They were not like the ones who walked through the colony during the day. These wore dark suits that made them almost invisible. Cloaking technology. Military equipment. One of them held Hana. Another held a device that glowed with strange light. And on the ground, covered in purple blood, was Goma. The honey badger had attacked. He had smelled the trap. He had tried to stop them. One Velith lay on the ground, screaming in its clicking language. Its arm was torn open. Purple blood poured from the wound. Goma's claws had cut through its armor like the armor was paper, but the other Velith had hit Goma with something. The honey badger lay still, breathing but not moving. Release my daughter, Tay said. His voice was calm. Too calm. The voice he had used in the wars. The Velith holding Hana clicked something. The translator on its chest spoke. You are too late, human. The specimen has been selected. Do not interfere, or you will be terminated. Specimen. They called his daughter a specimen. Tay moved. He had no weapons. He had no armor. He had only his hands and 20 years of training in how to kill. He reached the first Velith in 2 steps. His fist hit the alien's throat. The Velith made a choking sound and fell. Tay grabbed its weapon and turned toward the one holding Hana. But he was too slow. The third Velith, the one Goma had wounded, raised its good arm. It held a small device. There was a flash of light. Tay felt electricity run through his body. He fell to his knees, his muscles not working. Stupid mammal, the Velith said. You should not have fought. Tay watched helplessly as they dragged Hana toward a small shuttle hidden in the grass. She was crying. She was calling for him. But he could not move. His body would not obey. Then Goma moved. The honey badger was not unconscious. He had been waiting, recovering. Now he exploded from the ground like a missile. He hit the wounded Velith in the face. His teeth found the alien's neck. There was a terrible crunching sound. The Velith stopped moving. The one holding Hana threw her aside and raised its weapon. But Goma was too fast. He ran under the alien's legs and bit the back of its knee. The Velith screamed and fell. Goma climbed onto its back and began tearing at its armor with his claws. But more Velith came from the shuttle. 4 more. They had weapons. They had armor. And they were not going to let a small animal stop them. One of them kicked Goma. The honey badger flew through the air and hit the ground hard. He tried to get up, but another Velith hit him with the electric device. This time, Goma did not move. They grabbed Hannah again. She was screaming. She was fighting. But she was just a child. They carried her into the shuttle. The door closed. The engine started. The shuttle rose into the dark sky. By the time Tay could move again, the shuttle was gone. His daughter was gone. He crawled to where Goma lay. The honey badger was alive but badly hurt. His fur was burned. His body was covered in cuts. But his eyes were open, and they were filled with rage. "I am sorry," Tay whispered. "I am so sorry." Goma made a sound. It was not a sound of forgiveness. It was a sound of promise. A promise that he would find Hannah. A promise that he would make the Velith pay. Tay picked up the honey badger and stood. His legs were shaking. His heart was broken. But something else was growing inside him. Something cold. Something dark. He looked at the sky where the shuttle had disappeared. They had taken his daughter. They had called her a specimen. They had hurt his friend. They would learn what a human father could do. They would learn why Earth's creatures were feared. They would learn, and they would die. The colony was in chaos. People ran through the streets. Voices shouted questions that no one could answer. The festival was forgotten. Everyone had heard Hannah's scream. Everyone had seen the strange shuttle rise into the sky. Tay walked through the crowd with Goma in his arms. People stared at him. They had never seen him like this. His face was empty. His eyes were cold. He looked like a different person. Sue ran to meet him. She saw the blood on his clothes and the wounded honey badger. Her hands immediately went to work, checking Goma's injuries. "What happened?" she asked. "Where's Hannah?" "The Velith took her," Tay said. His voice was flat. "Dead. They took my daughter." Sue's face went pale. The rumors had been true. The monsters had come for the children. Wu, the colony's communications officer, pushed through the crowd. He was a thin young man with quick hands and a quick mind. He spent most of his time talking to ships in orbit and monitoring space traffic. "I tracked their shuttle," Wu said. He was breathing hard. It went to a carrier ship in high orbit. A big one. Military class. "Can you contact the Galactic Concord?" Sue asked. "I already did," Wu replied. "They are sending a response team, but..." He looked at Tay with worried eyes. "They will not arrive for 3 days." 3 days. In 3 days, the Velith could take Hannah anywhere in the galaxy. They could disappear into their empire. They could do terrible things to her in their laboratories. Tay could not wait 3 days. He would not wait 3 hours. "Where is their carrier ship exactly?" Tay asked. Wu told him the coordinates. The ship was in stable orbit above the planet. It was not trying to hide. The Velith did not think anyone would come after them. Why would they? Humans were weak, primitive. The Velith had superior technology, superior weapons, superior numbers. They did not know who they had made angry. Tay handed Goma to Sue. "Take care of him. Heal his wounds. What are you going to do?" Sue asked. Tay did not answer. He walked to his home. Inside, he went to a locked room that Hannah was never allowed to enter. He opened the door and stepped inside for the first time in 3 years. The room was full of equipment, weapons, armor, tools, things he had brought from Earth and never used, things he had sworn never to use again. He had wanted to be a peaceful man. He had wanted to leave the soldier behind. But the Velith had made that choice for him. He put on his old armor. It was black and fit close to his body. It was not fancy like Velith technology. It was simple, human, designed for one purpose: killing. He took his weapons. A rifle that fired magnetically accelerated rounds. 2 pistols. A knife that could cut through ship hulls. Grenades, explosives, everything a special forces soldier might need. When he stepped out of his house, he looked like a ghost from the old wars. The settlers stared at him with wide eyes. They had never known. They had never suspected that the quiet engineer was something else entirely. Sue ran up to him. Goma was walking beside her. The honey badger had refused to stay down. His wounds were bandaged, but his eyes were sharp and angry. He walked with a slight limp, but he walked with purpose. "You cannot take him," Sue said. "He is injured." Tay looked at Goma. The honey badger looked back. There was understanding between them. They both knew what needed to be done. "I am not taking him," Tay said. "He is coming on his own." Goma made a sound. It was agreement that an old cargo ship sat at the edge of the colony's landing pad. Its pilot was a man named Jin. He was 50 years old, with a scarred face and eyes that had seen too much. He and Tay had served together in the wars. They had killed together. They had survived together. Jin was already preparing the ship when Tay arrived. "I heard what happened," Jin said. He did not seem surprised to see Tay in combat gear. "I figured you would need a ride. Can your ship reach the Velith carrier?" "My ship can reach anything," Jin replied. "But Tay, that carrier has weapons. It has soldiers. It has technology we cannot match. Going there is suicide." "I know," Tay said. Jin was quiet for a moment. Then he laughed. It was a tired, sad laugh. "I guess I am dying today then, because I'm not letting you go alone." Sue stepped forward. "I am coming too." Tay turned to her. "No, you are a doctor. This is not your fight." "Hannah needs a doctor," Sue said. Her voice was firm. "When you find her, she might be hurt. She might need medical help immediately." "I am coming." Tay wanted to argue, but he knew Sue was right, and he knew he could not stop her. They loaded into Jin's ship. It was old and ugly, but it was fast, and its scanner signature looked like a harmless merchant vessel. The Velith would not see them as a threat. Before they launched, Tay sent a message to the Velith carrier. He used the colony's communication system to broadcast it directly to their ship. The message was short: "Return my daughter, or I will teach your species why Earth's predators rule their world." Wu played him the Velith response. It was Crix's voice, translated into human words. "Foolish mammal. Your threats are empty. Your species is weak. Your child belongs to the Dominion now. Come if you wish. You will die like all prey dies." Tay listened to the message. Then he looked at Goma, who sat beside him in the ship. The honey badger's eyes were steady, patient, ready. "They think we are prey," Tay said. Goma bared his teeth. It almost looked like a smile. Jin's ship rose into the sky. It left the brown world of Varus 7 behind. It flew toward the stars, toward the Velith carrier, toward the monsters who had taken a little girl in the cargo hold. Tay checked his weapons one more time. His hands did not shake. His heart was steady. The fear was gone. Only purpose remained. He thought about Hana, her laugh, her smile, the way she hugged Goma every night before sleep. He thought about his wife, who had died believing her daughter would live in peace. He had failed to keep that peace. He had failed to protect his family, but he would not fail to get his daughter back. The Velith believed humans were weak. They believed humans were primitive. They believed humans would submit to superior technology and superior power. They had never seen what a human could do when everything they loved was taken away. They were about to learn. Jin's ship drifted toward the Velith carrier like a wounded bird. Smoke poured from one engine. Warning lights flashed inside the cockpit. The ship looked like it was dying. This was the plan. The Velith carrier was massive. It stretched across the stars like a floating city. Its hull was black and covered with weapons. Hundreds of soldiers lived inside. Scientists worked in laboratories. Commanders gave orders from the bridge, and somewhere in that metal monster, Hannah was waiting. Jin opened a communication channel. He made his voice sound tired and scared. Velith carrier, this is merchant vessel Bright Star. Our engine is damaged. We are losing life support. Please allow us to dock for emergency repairs. There was silence for a long moment. Then a clicking voice responded. Merchant vessel, you are not authorized in this space. Turn back or be destroyed. We cannot turn back, Jin replied. Our engines are failing. We will die if you do not help us. Please, we are just traders. We have no weapons. Another pause. The Velith were discussing. Tay held his breath. If they decided to destroy the ship, everything was over. Finally, the voice returned. You may dock at Base 7. Any hostile action will result in your immediate termination. The channel closed. Jin looked at Tay and grinned. They bought it. The ship limped toward Base 7. As they got closer, Tay could see the carrier in detail. It was even bigger than he had thought. There were observation windows everywhere. He could see Velith moving inside. They were not worried. Why would they be? They were the hunters. Everyone else was prey. They did not know what was coming. Jin landed the ship in the docking bay. Through the windows, Tay could see 20 Velith soldiers waiting. They held weapons. They wore armor. They clicked to each other, probably joking about the stupid humans who had stumbled into their space. Stay here, Tay told Sue. Lock the ship. When I signal, bring it to the main laboratory. How will I know where that is? Sue asked. You will know, Tay said. Just follow the bodies. He opened the ship's door and stepped out. Goma walked beside him. The Velith soldiers saw a tired-looking human and a small animal. They did not see danger. The squad leader stepped forward. His translator spoke. You will surrender your weapons and submit to inspection. I have no weapons, Tay said. He raised his hands. The Velith moved closer. One of them bent down to look at Goma. What is this creature? A pet, Tay said. He is harmless. The Velith reached out to touch Goma. Goma moved. His teeth closed on the Velith's hand. There was a crunch of breaking bone. The soldier screamed in its clicking language. Purple blood sprayed across the floor. Before the other soldiers could react, Goma had torn through the first one's arm and was already moving toward the next. Tay moved at the same moment. His hand grabbed the squad leader's weapon. He twisted it free and fired in one motion. The leader's chest exploded. Tay spun and fired again. Another soldier fell. The Velith had never seen humans fight. Their reports said humans were slow, emotional, easy to frighten. The reports were written by scientists who had never faced a human soldier. Tay was not slow. He was not frightened. He was a machine built for one purpose. In 8 seconds, all 20 soldiers were dead. Goma stood in the middle of the purple blood, breathing hard. His fur was wet with alien gore. He looked at Tay and made a small sound. Good boy, Tay said. They moved into the ship. Alarms began to sound. The Velith knew something was wrong. Doors began to close. Soldiers began to run toward Base 7. The Tay had studied Velith ship designs. He knew their weaknesses. He found a control panel and connected a small device from his belt. The device hacked into the ship's systems, Suddenly, doors all over the carrier began opening and closing randomly. Lights flickered. Life support systems made strange noises. The Velith fell into confusion. Tay and Goma moved through the corridors. They did not hide. They did not sneak. They walked straight toward the center of the ship, and they killed everything in their path. Tay used the environment as a weapon. He triggered pressure doors to crush soldiers. He vented compartments into space, watching Velith fly screaming into the void. He disabled gravity in sections, then restored it suddenly, smashing his enemies against the floor. And where Tay could not go, Goma could. The honey badger crawled through vents that were too small for Velith. He dropped into rooms where soldiers were hiding. They would hear a sound in the ceiling, look up, and then Goma would be on their faces, biting and clawing and tearing. The Velith had never faced anything like him. Their weapons were designed for large enemies. They could not hit something so small and so fast. Goma took wounds that would have killed any normal animal. A blade cut his side. A blast burned his back. But he did not stop. Honey badgers do not feel pain the way other creatures do. They do not know when to quit. Goma did not quit. He kept fighting. He kept killing. He was covered in blood, and he did not care. Deep in the ship, in a small laboratory, a young Velith scientist named Nari watched the chaos on her screens. She was different from the others. She had studied humans for years. She knew they were not the weak creatures her people believed them to be. When she saw Tay moving through the corridors, she felt something the Velith rarely felt: fear. Nari made a decision. She opened a communication channel to the human's device. "Human," she said, "I can help you find the child." Tay stopped. He was covered in purple blood. Bodies lay around him. Goma growled at a vent, ready to attack anything that moved. "Why would you help me?" Tay asked. "Because I oppose this mission," Nari replied. "I told Commander Crix that taking human children was dangerous. He did not listen. Now my people are dying. Help me escape, and I will take you to the girl." Tay did not trust her, but he did not have time to search the entire ship. "Show me where she is," he said. "Then we will talk about your escape." Nari sent him a map. The laboratory where Hannah was being held was on the other side of the carrier. Between Tay and his daughter were 50 more soldiers and Commander Crix himself. Tay looked at the map. He looked at Goma. The honey badger was bleeding from a dozen wounds. He was limping badly now, but his eyes were still angry. "Still ready. Can you keep going?" Tay asked. Goma made a sound. It was not a word. It was a promise. He would keep going until Hannah was safe, or until he was dead. Tay loaded fresh ammunition into his weapons. He checked his knife. He took a deep breath. "Let us finish this," he said. They moved toward the laboratory. Behind them, the corridors were filled with bodies. Purple blood painted the walls. The Velith carrier, once a symbol of dominion power, had become a tomb, and the humans were not done yet. The laboratory doors stood before Tay like the gates of a nightmare. Behind those doors, his daughter was waiting. And so was Commander Crix. Tay could hear clicking voices inside. He could hear machines making soft sounds. He could hear something else too, something that made his blood boil. He could hear Hannah crying. Goma pressed against Tay's leg. The honey badger was barely standing. His fur was matted with blood, both purple and red. He had fought through the entire ship. He had killed more Velith than Tay could count. But he was not stopping. He would never stop. Not while Hannah was in danger. Tay looked at his small companion. "One more fight," he whispered. "Can you do one more?" Goma looked up at him. In those dark eyes, Tay saw something that went beyond animal instinct. He saw love. He saw loyalty He saw the same fury that burned in his own heart. The honey badger bared his teeth. He was ready. Tay kicked the door open. The laboratory was large and cold. Strange machines lined the walls. In the center of the room, Hana lay on a metal table. She was awake. She was crying. Her small hands were tied to the table with glowing straps. Around her stood 5 Velith scientists. They were not soldiers. They were soft and slow. When Tay burst through the door, they screamed and ran for the corners of the room. But Crix was there too. The commander stood behind Hana's table, using her as a shield. He held a blade against her throat. His black eyes watched Tay with something that might have been amusement. "Stop," Crix said. His translator made the word cold and flat. "Come closer, and I will kill her." Tay stopped. His weapon was aimed at Crix's head. But he could not shoot. Not without risking Hana. "You can't escape," Crix continued. "You have killed many of my soldiers. I admit, I did not expect this. You mammals are more violent than our reports suggested. But it does not matter. My fleet is already sending reinforcements. You have minutes before they arrive. Surrender, and I will let you live as a specimen alongside your daughter." "Let her go," Tay said, "and I will make your death quick." Crix laughed. It was an ugly, clicking sound. "You threaten me? You are one human. I am a commander of the Velith Dominion. You are nothing." Tay's smile was not a happy smile. It was the smile of a man who had already accepted death. The smile of a predator who knew exactly what he was doing. "You studied our species," Tay said quietly. "But you missed the most important lesson. We do not trade our children. We do not negotiate for our children. We destroy anything that touches our children." Crix pressed the blade closer to Hana's throat. "Pretty words. But I have the power here." "No," Tay said. "You do not." Goma moved. The honey badger had been creeping along the floor while Tay talked. He had moved so slowly that even Velith eyes did not notice him. Now he shot forward like a bullet. His small body hit Crix's leg. His teeth sank into the commander's ankle. Crix screamed. His arm jerked away from Hana's throat. The blade flew from his hand. Tay moved at the same moment. He crossed the room in 3 steps. His fist hit Crix's face. The commander stumbled backward, Goma still attached to his leg. Purple blood poured from the wound. "You dare!" Crix screamed. "You dare attack me?" He pulled a weapon from his belt. He tried to aim at Tay, but Goma climbed higher. His claws dug into Crix's shell. His teeth found the commander's hip. Then his side. Then his arm. Crix tried to hit the honey badger, but Goma was too fast, too angry, too determined. Tay reached his daughter. He cut her bindings with his knife. Hana threw her arms around his neck and sobbed into his shoulder. "I knew you would come," she whispered. "I knew you would find me." "Always," Tay said. "I will always find you." Behind him, Crix finally threw Goma off. The honey badger hit the floor hard. He tried to get up, but his body would not obey. He had given everything. There was nothing left. Crix stumbled toward them. He was bleeding from a dozen wounds, but he was still alive, still holding his weapon. "I will kill you both," Crix said. "I will make it slow. I will make it painful." Tay set Hana down gently. He stood between her and the commander. He had no weapon in his hands. He did not need one. "My daughter asked me once why humans fear honey badgers," Tay said. "I told her it is because they do not know when to stop. They fight until they win or they die. There is no surrender. There is no retreat." He walked toward Crix. "We are the same," Tay continued. "Humans and honey badgers. We are small. We are soft. We do not have shells or claws or technology. But we have something you will never understand. He was very close now. Crix raised his weapon. "We have rage," Tay said. He grabbed Crix's arm and twisted. The weapon fell. Tay's other hand shot out and grabbed the commander's throat. He lifted the Velith off the ground. Krix clicked something. His translator spoke. "Please, mercy." Tay looked at him. He thought about all the children the Velith had taken, all the families they had destroyed, all the specimens they had collected. "I do not know that word," Tay said. And he broke the commander's neck. The body fell to the floor. The laboratory was silent. Tay turned back to his daughter. Hannah was kneeling beside Goma, crying. The honey badger was not moving. His eyes were closed. His small chest barely rose and fell. Tay ran to them. "Goma, Goma, wake up." The honey badger did not respond. Sue arrived minutes later. She had followed the trail of bodies, just as Tay had said. She brought medical equipment. She worked on Goma immediately. "He has lost too much blood," she said. Her voice was shaking. "He has too many wounds. I do not know if—" "Save him," Hannah begged. "Please save him. He is my friend." Sue worked. For an hour, she worked. Tay held Hannah. They watched and waited. They prayed to whatever gods might listen. Finally, Goma opened his eyes. He looked at Hannah. He made a small sound. It was weak, but it was there. Hannah burst into tears again. But this time, they were happy tears. 3 days later, the Galactic Concorde arrived. They found the Velith carrier drifting in space. Most of its crew was dead or had fled in escape pods. The corridors were filled with bodies. Purple blood covered everything. In the center of the ship, they found a human father holding his daughter. A honey badger slept at their feet. A doctor and a pilot stood guard nearby. The Concorde representative was an ancient being who had lived for 1,000 years. He had seen countless species, countless wars, countless acts of violence, but he had never seen anything like this. "How many soldiers did you bring?" he asked. Tay looked up. He was tired. He was covered in dried blood, but his daughter was safe in his arms. "Just me," Tay said. "And him." He pointed to Goma. The honey badger yawned, showing teeth still stained purple with Velith blood. The Concorde representative stared at them for a long moment. Then he turned to his assistant and said something quietly. The report that was sent to Concorde High Command contained a new classification. It read, "Human Threat Assessment. Individually. Manageable. Protecting offspring extreme. Do not engage." And a footnote, written by a traumatized Velith survivor who had escaped on a pod, were these words: "Beware the small earth creature. It does not know fear. It does not know when to stop. It will fight until you are dead or it is dead. And sometimes, even death does not stop it." 3 weeks later, Tay and Hannah returned to Vera 7. The colony welcomed them as heroes. But Tay did not want to be a hero. He just wanted to be a father again. Hannah had nightmares sometimes. She would wake up screaming about clicking shadows. But Goma was always there. He slept at the foot of her bed every night. His wounds had healed, leaving scars beneath his black and white fur. He was slower now, older, but his eyes were still sharp, still watching, still ready. One day, an alien child visiting the colony asked Hannah about her pet. "What kind of creature is that?" The alien asked. Hannah smiled. She reached down and scratched Goma behind his ears. The honey badger made a sound of contentment. "He's called a honey badger," Hannah said. "He is from Earth, and he is the bravest animal in the galaxy." "Is he dangerous?" the alien child asked. Hannah looked at Goma. The honey badger looked back at her. In his dark eyes, she saw the same thing her father saw: love, loyalty, and an endless, burning fury for anyone who would ever threaten their family. "Only to our enemies," Hannah said. That night, Tay sat on the porch of their small home. The brown fields of Vera 7 stretched out before him. The pale moons rose in the milky sky. Somewhere, far away, the stars held countless species, countless dangers, countless adventures. But Tay was done with adventure. He was done with killing. He was done with war. He watched Hannah playing in the yard with Goma. She was laughing. The honey badger was pretending to chase her, moving slowly so she could escape. It was the happiest sound Tay had ever heard. He was just a father now. Just an engineer. Just a man who wanted peace. But he knew the truth. If anyone ever threatened his daughter again, the soldier would wake up. The honey badger would rise. And the galaxy would learn once more why humans were not prey. They were the predators. And they did not know when to stop.